Welcome back to the channel, Nerds and Nerdettes. Today we have another review. This is a little bit of a important one to me. That's because it's Berserk. Berserk is my favorite material that I've ever read in manga and comics. So I am going to have specific videos contributed to each volume, going over the deluxe edition volumes by Dark Horse. So I'm going to have a video for each one of the volumes doing a brief overview of the contents of the book, the little bit of a review of the story itself, and a little bit of a introduction to what's covered in the book itself. Some of them are going to be a little bit spoiler heavy. This one won't be too spoiler heavy, but if you want a brief synopsis or anything about Berserk, then this will be a great video to watch. But let's go ahead and get into the book and see what we have in store for us. All right, welcome guys. This is my review for Berserk Deluxe Edition Volume 1. As I said, Berserk is written and drawn by Kentaro Miura, and this is Volume 1 of the Deluxe Editions. Every deluxe edition is going to look very similar to this, guys, so get used to this kind of design or look to the book, because all of them have this black pleather with the red lettering. The only thing that changes as far as the cover is the bottom left number, but everything else stays the same. Some of them have a little bit of a different texture as far as the book goes. At least I think so. I haven't heard a lot of people say that, but I feel like sometimes the outside of the book, like the pleather, has a little bit of a different texture or quality to it sometimes. But these are great books, guys. A lot of bang for your buck here. Most of these deluxe editions hold 3 volumes. I know some Dark Horse Deluxe editions can hold up to 4, but most of the Berserk ones are 3-in-1s, so you get a lot of bang for your buck as far as the size or trim and its contents. Well, we can go ahead and get in to the book itself. We have, of course, a title page, some black end pages, and another title page, which is very similar openings that you're going to see throughout each and every volume. I don't think they change much at all, so just kind of know that going forward into these reviews. Each of them are, from the outside to the first couple pages, going to be virtually identical. But here are our contents. Like I said, this collects 3 volumes, and it does give you a title page to the volume itself. Then after the title page to the volume, you get the volume itself's contents, which it has 3 chapters included, tells you each page where the chapter begins. And then to the left, we get our first panel that is featuring our main character of Guts, which is at this point a very troubled and damaged person, and that's exactly why Kentaro Miura, or I feel Kentaro, is showing us this panel to open up to the book. A lot of people say this isn't very much like Guts, but if we want to have a full-on discussion about that, we can definitely do that. I love talking anything Berserk, but getting into the book's contents and kind of what the story is about. So the story does follow Guts, who, like I said, is a very troubled and dark young man at the point of this story. We do learn that he has a odd brand of sacrifice on his right side of his neck, which we also learn bleeds when something sinister is afoot. And usually sinister things come out at night, so that causes Berserk Guts to never really be able to sleep or get any rest, so he is constantly on the move, and when he's not moving, he's fighting for his life. So kind of understand that when you see how much of a-hole Guts is in this volume. Just keep in mind every person has their story, and Guts is no different in here. We also get introduced to Puck, who is one of Guts's supporting members or supporting cast. He is a fairy. Fairies in this world have a ability to heal, so Guts exploits that very much so initially, not wanting him really around for necessarily a friendship, but more for his uses. But being introduced to new cast members and new supporting cast is a common theme throughout all of the volumes of Berserk. So just keep that in mind, that the story is not going to only specifically follow Guts, but also his supporting cast. I feel like I probably said that a million times. But the world that this story does take place in is a dark fantasy style world where apostles, which are human demon hybrid type of beings, exist and are extremely powerful, much more powerful than humans at least. Guts is hunting these apostles, which is a very difficult task for not only such a troubled and exhausted man, but also just for a human in general, because they are so powerful. These apostles come in many forms, shapes, and sizes, some more soldier-like or warriors, others as much more powerful members of society, which is interesting because based on the person and their role in society kind of determines how much, I guess, influence they have and how much or how powerful they can become in the world of Berserk. So a lot of the early stories in this volume are a little bit episodic. It's kind of Guts going from battle to battle, either with an apostle or with an entire horde of skeleton warriors. It really depends on what that chapter is kind of covering, but the main portion of this volume covers the story that involves the Count, which is a much more not only powerful apostle, but also powerful in society because he is a Count. So that obviously brings him not only face to face with forces and humans that have aligned themselves with an apostle, not only, or maybe not willingly, but maybe unknowingly. But that's a great thing that Berserk kind of has to offer, is it will tell you Guts and his supporting cast story, so you really learn a lot about them, but you're also going to learn a whole lot about not only the main villain, whoever that may be. Not going to give any spoilers until we get to those later volumes, but also the supporting cast of that villain and those that help him and those that support him. You get to learn them as well. So it's a very interesting way of storytelling where you not only learn a whole lot of details and characteristics about the main character and his friends or his party, but also who he's up against. So it does cause you to question and ask for answers throughout your reading experience, which is really fun, really engaging, and I cannot praise that style of storytelling in this specific title enough, because it really, really keeps you hooked. At least it did for me. So definitely check this out, guys. I mean, it's really good stuff. Now, I would recommend this obviously for anybody that likes dark stories, or stories with dark undertones, or violence, or action, anything like that. Obviously, it has a lot of the manga tropes or manga characteristics as far as big battles, big scenes, and stuff like that. But I would also recommend this to anybody that enjoys fantasy, because this very much feels like a dark iteration of early video games like Final Fantasy or something, where you obviously have your main character who we follow and almost get a full-on point of view of, but he has his entire supporting party that helps him throughout the story and in battles, and the party constantly changes or shifts. Maybe some party members don't live. So anybody that likes those style of either video games or stories definitely would get a lot of interest and enjoyment out of this, just because it really feels just like that. But these books are designed great. You get what you just saw me grab. You get a ribbon in each volume. It is sewn binding, and it is extremely sturdy. Here's the look at the eye. It lays down beautifully. There's little to no gutter loss, not only because it opens good, but they also do a white border around each of the panels. So where it gets closer to the end of the page, they usually put a little bit of a white border, so you're not missing out on too much of the art. But you just saw a splash page there where literally there's zero gutter loss. But as I was saying, you get a ribbon in each volume, which is super bang for your buck. I love that. Great touch. These books are also extremely dense and extremely durable. These books, I think, could probably be thrown off of a skyscraper and be unscathed. You could borderline use this as a home defense weapon if you wanted, because it's just that well put together. I can't praise Dark Horse enough on these deluxe editions. But as you get to the later end of the book, you start inching into, or I guess regressing, backwards into Guts' story, and you start learning about his origin, which is what you're kind of seeing now. You're learning a lot about his early days as a child, as a baby. You really get to fully experience and read Guts' beginning to current, which is great. It really allows you to identify with this character, being able to see everything that he's went through. There are a lot of very triggering, possibly upsetting events and topics explored in this. So definitely keep that in mind, especially getting to the later part of this specific volume. So just have a very tough skin going into this, and just understand that the entire reason that these things are explored is because that is the world that Berserk exists in, and that is the reality and the story that is taking place while you're reading. So definitely keep that in mind. This is not for anyone below 18, and even 18. You need to definitely mentally prepare yourself going into it, because it is very heavy stuff. But at the end, you get the covers for each of the specific volumes, as well as a outro or introduction, whatever you'd want to call it, at the very end of the book by Kentaro Miura. Each of these covers are on glossy paper, so that's awesome. And you also get a breakdown as far as how many volumes are currently out, so you can kind of plan out what's in each volume and how much more material you have to read. But that really kind of wraps up the book. I was very obviously broad and generalized. I don't want to give too many spoilers. I want you guys to go out and read it and let me know what you guys thought, and not me just tell you what to think. So I definitely recommend it though. So we will obviously go to future Tyler and hear more closing thoughts and the total review, but that does wrap up the internals. So we can go ahead to future Tyler now. Welcome back. That concludes the review of the book itself. So of course, as always, we have some closing thoughts. Berserk is a great story. As I said, it's something that I'm probably going to be slightly biased towards just because it's something that I love dearly. It is something that is also not for younger readers. You should definitely be of age getting into the story. A lot of very sensitive themes and plots and subjects are covered throughout. So that's something to keep in mind when either reading this or recommending this to somebody. The story and art in this specific volume is not at its peak. It's good, but I wouldn't say it's to the level where it's going to blow you away yet. But definitely keep in mind when reading that this is the first volume or the first 3 volumes. So Kentaro Miura was very early on in his Berserk making career, if you will. So that definitely grows and improves as time goes. So just expect that if you don't like it at first, just push through. You'll be okay. You'll fall in love. You're not broken or anything. It's good. It just gets a lot better later on. But all in all, the story of Berserk, this specific volume gets an 8 out of 10 for this specific volume. Berserk overall, the entire ride, of course, is a 10 out of 10, if not an 11, if that's even possible. But this specific volume, I give an 8 out of 10. Berserk's a must-read, and this is the starting point. So if you're interested, definitely get this. It's a great title to have. These deluxe editions are a lot of bang for your buck. $50 for 3 volumes in oversized format. And if you are a fan of Berserk, definitely let me know down below. I love talking anything Berserk. I love talking about the plot and characters. And of course, subscribe, hit that bell notification because we have a lot more to come as far as these Dark Horse Deluxe editions go. And as always, don't forget to stay nerdy.